Hello, welcome to Coz's Corner. This is a maiden flight, so to speak, for me. It's the first time I have recorded for the Southsider Voice, and we hope that you will enjoy the show. And I'm sitting here with my good friend, Bob Dapper.
Hi, Jerry.
Co-owner, originator of Royal Spa.
That's right.
Tell us just a little bit about Royal Spa, Bob. About a half an hour's worth of
half an hour's worth, all right. Well, my partner and I started Royal Spa in 1981, and so we've been doing this for a good long time. So we're in our 31st year in business, and we have just enjoyed every moment of it. There has been so many different facets of the business that have challenged me in ways that I never would have imagined possible. But to meet all the good people has been a real joy, and to become friends with my customers and be able to sculpt my product in a way that I call them wish I would-has. So anyone that's come into me and said, oh, I like what I bought, but I wish I would have done this, or I wish I could have done that, in order to refabricate the product into what I call I wish I would have, has been an interesting process.
But those are learning moments for you, are they not?
Oh, sure they are, and that's what makes it so fun, is that he who is able to listen to the wisdom of his customers is able
Absolutely.
to become a more successful businessman.
Well, take us back to Troy Avenue.
Oh, wow, you're going way back. Okay, I was in a class at IUPUI in engineering school, and my business partner said, my dad owns a building at Shelby and Troy, and they're making fiberglass sprint car hoods, and they're having trouble paying.
Sprint car hoods.
Yes, like the race cars
Right,
that you
okay.
see in the Hoosier 100, and that takes you back a while, I know. But the sprint car hoods were not a very lucrative business for them, and so they had a tough time paying their rent. So I said, why don't we come up with something made out of fiberglass for them to make for us, and you and I can finish it and I'll sell it. And he said, can you sell? And I said, yes, I can. And we believe that to be about 73,000 hot tubs ago.
Wow, that's amazing. And today you sell in Europe?
Yes.
Sell all over the world, South America?
That's an interesting thing too that people don't know. There's a magazine that's put out by the United States State Department, and they advertise to 250,000 purchasing agents all over the earth. And for $500, you can buy a quarter-page ad, and they rewrite your ad so that it won't violate any language or any culture in the world today. And so by the time they rewrote my ad, you would have sworn that I was selling a Playmate cooler, because it was a bowl that had the ability to hold warm water, and it was really well insulated, and it was of the ability to hold this water in a way that would not be very expensive to keep it warm.
Talk about creative advertising.
Yeah, because everything that you might say by some culture could be misread as something else that is unacceptable to whatever translation came from English to whatever they spoke. So it was very, very tame. I couldn't imagine anyone being enthusiastic about my product after reading the ad that was written by the federal government. But I had just a ream of information come off of the fax machine, because that's how they would respond to you, by fax, because a lot of them didn't speak English. And so that was before the days when you could hire a translation company over the internet. So I only responded to the people that spoke English, and the Czech government gave our organization a 30,000+ square foot building about 40 minutes out of Prague, and this man named Peter is running that business, and he's called US Spa over there, and we were solely responsible for putting him in business, and he's doing very well. So the other thing that you see is that my product has a medical and a social or a family type of experience. So you can go in there with aches and pains in your hips and your knees and your shoulders, and you can cure that in a hot tub, or you potentially could use it for just the family to be able to sit someplace and talk, because everybody talks about not having enough communication.
Before leaving, tell us how many countries you are actually in.
Wow, it's hard to keep track in today's world. I would say 25 countries easily, and that's through the baptistries that we make, which is the baptismal tanks.
Tell that story. That is a terribly interesting aspect.
Well, but the overall concept of doing international business is to treat all of them like the guy down the street. You treat them with the same courtesy, and it is harder to understand them. But when we started, actually, we got to step back to where Royal Spa helped sponsor the Task Force 1 here in town. Task Force 1 is the group of firemen that go out to the towers when they go down, or they go to a hurricane situation, or they go someplace else. And when they first started, they didn't have money to even pay their own fuel bill. So Royal Spa helped them with their expenses. So then they were absorbed by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And so that made Royal Spa a supplier to the federal government. And then the United States Military Chaplain Service heard that they could buy tanks of water from us. So we fabricated a baptistry that meets military standards. So we have a military grade baptistry.
Do they bless the plastic before you?
I'm positive that there are many blessings that occur in and around our baptistries. That's right.
That's interesting. So now you provide baptistry all over the military world. US
It has been an interesting experience. In fact, I have told the story that there's an Air Force base in Guam that did a test of all the water, and the cleanest and purest water on base was in our baptistry.
You also have done some oversized tubs. Talk about the NFL Royal Spa Special.
Well, everyone has some type of program that they're wanting us to help with to one extent or another. And a lot of times the tooling or the molds really make it prohibitively expensive. But for different corporate organizations, we have a tank called a swim spa. And we're able to take that swim spa and we're able to press a logo into the bottom of it, or we're able to work with different organizations on making a tub that jives with exactly what they're trying to get accomplished. Plus the side of a swim spa is 4 feet high and 15 feet long, and so there's signage and banners and such. And so like at all the races at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we have a big hot tub in the corner for hospitality, if you will. And
but some of your NFL friends, your tubs were not quite large enough, and you answered that call also.
Yeah, well, there you go. When it comes to somebody like Jeff Saturday, who comes in to look at a hot tub, who's a very nice man, and he comes in and he sits down in a hot tub, and the water, again, it would be this deep on you and I, and it's this deep on him. You say, oh, we certainly have to make an adjustment. So Jeff and a guy named Rick DeMoling, who was a lineman, and then other customers that we call volumetrically gifted. And so volumetrically gifted customers were able to assist me in coming in and sitting in the mold as it progressed. And we made a tub that would handle a person that's up to 6 feet 7 inches tall and 440 pounds.
Wow, wow.
So most of us fall beneath that bar. But I had to raise the bar in order to accommodate football players and people that are definitely built more solidly than you and I.
We're talking with Bob Dapper at Royal Spa, which is located at Indiana 37 South at its intersection with Epler Avenue, for those that may be familiar with the South Side. Bob is a co-owner of Royal Spa, and he also has, their company has done quite a bit of philanthropic things, which nobody talks much about that. Bob's, you see him on television, you see his commercials, you see his logo on the race cars, but talk about the other side of Royal Spa as far as generosity is concerned.
Well, it is an interesting thing, and some people think that the federal government should make you be nice to others, but I found that when you're able to meet with the people that really need the help and sculpt a program into something that will make a difference for them, it makes you happy. And that's why we've sponsored the smallest IndyCar, because those guys never have enough money to do it. And then when you go to a group of people like the Salvation Army, and their financial efficiency is really better than a lot of the other organizations. And so I was always pleased to work with Salvation Army on their telethon at Christmas time and on different programs that they've got. And then the Make-A-Wish Foundation has kids that have brittle bone disease, and these kids have to be down in water, and these kids have to sometimes have a different focus. And so we've got a young man that we're working with right now that needs to be in a tank of water, but he wants to be on a treadmill. And so the treadmill doesn't fit in the bottom of a normal hot tub. And so we have a baptistry that is 4.5 feet wide by 10 feet long and has just stairs that lightly go down into it, just like you would expect in a church. And by moving the bottom step, a treadmill fits in there. And so we had to make just minor adjustments to the tool in order to accommodate the needs of this young man who has what's called brittle bone disease. And so he can't be running and playing like a normal kid, so
Sure.
he finds water to be a real benefit for him. And then when it comes to organizations like a Little League team, which we know that organized sports for little kids is a huge benefit to their growth, and I have a program where I sponsor any of those types of organizations through gift certificates. These people are able to get a gift certificate that they're allowed to give to someone that would give them hot dogs for the big fundraising cookout that they have, or they can give a gift certificate to one of the members of their committee or their organization or of their church, where they can come in and use it at Royal Spa. So they can use it three-dimensionally, but when the gift certificates are cashed in by a friend of Third Christian Church or a friend of so-and-so Youth Little League or a friend of Riley's Children's Hospital, then we do make a donation on their behalf to those organizations, and it allows us to have a win-win. Hey Jerry, let's go look at the vacuum forming process. So the sheet has been in there for about 15 minutes now. It's raised up to nearly 400 degrees. It's going to roll out here, it's going to stop, and then Dennis is going to go down and get it and lift it up, and then Dean will shove the rack out of the way, and then Dennis will bring it down and munch it over here, and that'll create a mechanical seal against the mold here, and then they'll suck all the air out of it. And so it's fun. The last 5 seconds of the vacuum forming process is the most exciting because it goes and it takes on all those shapes and contours.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's either cha-ching or it'll go pop like a balloon, and $400 worth of plastic just gets thrown away. Go ahead and do your thing. He'll move out of your way. Okay. So now he's made the mechanical bite. You can come right up on it because the contouring is going to come through. From here on is when the contour really starts to pick up. So you can see it just takes on the shape of the tool, and then it's going to get kind of the snap, crackle, and pop thing going on in a minute because the plastic is so hot, it momentarily glues itself to the mold, and then it's going to start popping and coming loose. Now, with it being warm in the room, it won't happen quite as quick as it does during the winter time, but you can hear it ticking.
Right.
So now what they're going to do is the guys are going to sneak around it and initially pull it loose from the mold because it's hugging the mold right now.
So it's safe to do that now.
Yeah, they have to wear gloves because this metal is really hot too, and so this would transfer heat into your hand much quicker than the plastic. So they all wear gloves, they shake on the tool, so you can see that they're pulling it loose. And then he catches those two little pods over there, and then they put it back down now that it's loose from the tool, and they'll start undoing all these little clamps, and they'll go around and take care of all those. Stand it against the mold. Now that weighs upwards of 600 pounds. These guys are just apes. You can't tell how strong they are until you see them lift that plastic like that.
That weighs 600 pounds. I feel good.
That weighs about 40 pounds.
I was going to say 25 or 30.
Yeah. You can see they're putting the panels on the side of the tub down there. We test every single tub with water before it gets filled up to make sure that everything on it is perfect.
Bob, pardon me, talked a little bit ago about the therapeutic effect. It isn't just a toy, it isn't just a status symbol. There are some very definite therapeutic benefits to hot tub.
Right. Well, everyone was buying hot tubs for a while just because it was a status symbol and it had a social component to it. But of late, myself and Royal Spa employees have been working with the doctors that have worked with the IndyCar drivers as far as therapy and such. So we've developed about 14 different therapies that can be utilized in a hot tub, and we actually have a whole line of spas that have what's called focused therapy. They're medically designed hot tubs for a specific ache or pain. We do arthritis, we do diabetes, we do all kinds of sciatic nerve issues. We work with knees, we work with necks. We've got all of the different possibilities for aches and pains on you covered with regard to the...
Can you take about 20 years off my life? Have you got a youth spigot?
That's that whole, what was a Cocoon movie theory, and so we have a device you can put down in there, and if you imagine it appropriately, you may be able to get that therapy.
Well, and on that nonsense, we're going to wrap this thing up. This has been my first issue of Coz Corner. Bob Dapper, thank you very much for taking your time. You're a busy guy, and come back next time, folks. We'll have someone else we'll talk to. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.